we're going to talk until you have questions for us. And if somebody wants to raise their hand and come into a seat, we'll go ahead and clear one out for you. And unfortunately, I have to say goodbye to somebody. That is the 4-person limit problem with Lab. But, what I wanted to start with while we're waiting to see if there's any questions from the audience. Oh, we've got one. Angela, ask that out loud for the video.
I didn't have a chance. So I'm really curious what Risto or Rit have brought from other countries to inform your CX practice here. I think there's a lot of differences in cultures, and there's probably a lot of wealth in the nuances in the tools and things that you could be bringing from other places to what you do here in the US, or vice versa. It'd just be interesting to hear different approaches that you're taking.
Rit, you want to go ahead?
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, previously I have actually worked in Europe, and we also had many clients in Asia, and now I'm working here in the US. Tools, they don't change. They are exactly the same. But as a researcher, as a designer, how you empathize with those people, how do you actually connect with those people do change. It's very cultural. How do you draft questionnaire? How do you do ethnography? I think it's very different from culture to culture. And I remember I spent significant amount of time in Turkey for one of very big client engagement a couple of years back. And we wanted to actually conduct user research in a very theoretical manner, which is, again, have 20 questionnaire, go to a customer, talk to them in their setup, and so on. It didn't work because the culture is quite different. They want to talk to you. They want to open up. It will take really long. So they don't want to go to one question, second, third, fourth. Rather, they want to talk many things. They want to paint a picture. They want to have lunch with you, breakfast with you, and then talk to you about their real problems. If you go directly to them and say, hey, tell us, some of the problems that you are facing, or, tell us more about you, they might not even open up. So again, this is very cultural. So as a designer, as a researcher, we need to probe a bit more about the culture, how people behave, and build our strategy towards that.
Yeah, you really have to earn their trust. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's excellent. So we're in a Q&A session. So if anyone who's joined us, is that Heather? I think I see Heather in there. Or anyone else who's joined has a question, please do either post it in or say, raise your hand, and we'll open it up and try to find a seat for you. But Risto, I just wanted to ask you kind of a little open-ended question, but is there anything we haven't talked about today relative to CX that you'd like to share with people?
Definitely, yes. There must be something, but we can probably speak about that like for next 10 hours. But I mean, we've covered a lot of great topics. Of course, I'm interested of like, what's the future of CX? I keep getting a lot of the questions like, what happens after this, like CX? I'm happy to say that like building the whole idea of good CX will take next 10 years. So we do have a lot of work out there waiting for all of us. And to Angela's question, like what we brought from the different cultures. So we've been always born global. Like we've done, thousands of projects with different cultures and different, groups. And it's really interesting, as Rit said, tools might be the same, but then in some cases there are tons of different variations. And for that reason, the research, and I call it more like insight, like digging into your customer's brain and like observing like how they behave. That's like bulletproof way of making the design happen and to empathize with a tool for a designer to empathize, as well as for the companies when they are making decisions. Literally, what I think we brought from Scandinavia as well is a pretty minimalistic approach to design. That's interesting to me because when I came here first time, I was traveling back and forth and tried to meet like tons of people, and I was like, well, a little bit ashamed, I'm coming from, Europe or somewhere, but very soon in, maybe a few weeks, I was like, wow, actually coming from Scandinavia, it's great because, people have this perception, which is true, of the minimalistic, very to the point, functional design that solves the problem. And I think that's one of the things we brought, hopefully from Scandinavia, and we're really proud of that. Rit, you've been working in Scandinavia best of your life,
absolutely.
Right?
I spent like significant amount of my time in Finland, actually. And again, I was really inspired by simplicity and minimalism that Scandinavian design has. And I think that's very relevant when it comes to digital design, because that's exactly what everyone is struggling with. How do we achieve something which is simple, minimal, but still powerful?
That's cool.
And I feel Idean is bringing that essence in this market, where we can apply some of very traditional ways of thinking and design into digital media. And it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool. We're running out of time. I just wanted to share one other thought with you, that when you talk about the future, I think that's important. When we started Social Media Club to really evangelize social media and focus on white hat techniques and advance the industry, that was something that was a groundswell that was already happening, right? Facebook had already existed, although it hadn't opened up yet. Twitter hadn't even been invented. We were talking about blogging and podcasting mostly when we were talking about social media. And what I really saw it as was this moment where we might finally flip the power structure between companies and individuals, or companies and consumers, where we might have greater empathy and greater respect. And one of my friends, actually, David Weinberger, one of the Clue Train Manifesto authors, really said it best. It's time to stop marketing at people, where we're trying to shove messages into their head, and start marketing with people and co-creating like this.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, that's another favorite topic of mine. Actually, our first UX summit was titled UX is a new brand. So what's going to happen in the future, and it's already happening, building brands, as we know, will just go away. It's not about the logotype. It's not about the, how much media coverage you're going to buy. It's about building a product that people will love. And that's the relationship thing, and I'm so happy to see customers and companies focusing on that piece now. Like, hey, what if we spend the next 50 million instead of Super Bowl ad? What if we just build amazing service, amazing app, amazing whatever it might be, so that people could fall in love with that? And that's what's happening. I mean, we're so lucky to live this time. We're not pushed one way, buy, rather than, hey, if you feel this is right, if you feel this is good, please come join.
And be part of I don't know. Have you read? I just shared a link for Amazon to a book from a gentleman I met 15 years ago now. Kevin Roberts, former head of Sakshi and Sakshi down in Australia, who wrote this book called Love Marks, which actually speaks.
Yeah, I never read, but I know the thing. So that's my favorite. Wikipedia stuff for every single consult out there, right? Before a meeting, you go out there, you take your love mark matrix and you do the magic. It's beautiful. I mean, I think that's actually a good example. It changed the whole company. I happen to know guys who were working for him back in those times, and literally changed the way how marketing was taught and how brand was built. Now, what's going to happen next? And I think we're the ones coming up with the next love mark.
Yes. And this is what I think CX hopefully will finally be able to deliver on. Unfortunately, a lot of social media became about me and the ego and this component of it, because of the celebrity factor in terms of large audience access, as opposed to that empathy and concern for others. But I think here with CX, we have that real opportunity to transcend that traditional marketing at people sort of model and start really understanding and having greater empathy about creating shared value, where both our customers and us are richer for interacting with one another, because we designed something that solved the real problem, creates real value behind it. So, but we're out of time, and I promised you I wouldn't take you too far over. So this has really been fantastic to be able to talk to you. And Rit, thank you so very much from Idean, a CX and UX design firm with offices across the States and over in Finland, and I'm sure coming perhaps to a city near you soon, as the case may be. And also Angela Long from We Are the Solution staying with us here. Thank you all for joining us. This is Chris Heuer for CXD Now, sponsored today by IBM Commerce and the IBM Journey Designer product. Looking forward to seeing you next Wednesday, same time, same CX channel, CXD Now, noon Pacific. Thank you all very much for joining.